Hello, this is Lucy Hafen. I work at a Montessori charter school, and in my reflections on the big takeaways of my interview with the speech and language pathologist, we talked a lot about the perspective of communication skills and how that translates to observable behaviors in an FBA. We considered how the lack of appropriate communication skills can mean struggling with a lot of frustration, either on the receptive or expressive end. We also talked about understanding the components of how language deficits impact a particular child is anchored in the triennial and initial testing, as well as the more recently observed behavior. When talking to our BCBA and preparing to conduct the FBA, I relied on the previously established methods that I had of recording my observations of the target student, my shorthand, and my just the way I normally just kind of document things that are happening in the classroom, interactions with peers, what the students doing, what they're saying, what the teacher is saying, those kinds of things. And when I reviewed and analyzed that, then I transferred the information I needed into the ABC data sheets, and it wasn't too much trouble. That worked out all right for me. Some observations were not as effective. There wasn't a lot of opportunity to see behaviors in action, so I'd have to come back and kind of catch them at a better time. But when I did catch them, there was one particularly good one where the student was sitting with their handwriting in front of them, and they were just drawing on the pages. They weren't doing the handwriting, and then asked the other peers at the tables questions that were irrelevant to the work, and then the target student began tapping on the peer's book, and then the student asked him to stop. He didn't stop at first. And then so he just propped up his binder. The peer propped up his binder to kind of barricade his work away from the student that was being disruptive, the target student. And then the target student began tapping on the binder instead. And the peer asked them to again, more fervently, stop. And then the student did stop, and then reverted back to just kind of playing with the materials in front of them, just playing with the ruler and poking the pencil through it and kind of staring off into space. So I also interviewed the general education teacher as well as looking at my notes, and it seems like that kind of behavior that I witnessed was typical with what the gen ed teacher was also seeing in the classroom. There was a previously established behavior contract that we had worked out together, where we would ask the student questions about the first half of the day or the second half of the day, and then if they performed the appropriate level of work, they would earn so much earned activity time. They had 2 opportunities to do this, both just before lunch and before the end of the day. It just came up that there were some loopholes that the student was exploiting to kind of perform the least level of output to get the most amount of earned activity time. So we decided to kind of tweak some of those to help kind of shore up those loopholes. And then the ABC data was very helpful in aligning those perspectives so that we could more effectively work as a team. So I think that worked. Thanks so much.